peace. And I do mean that. Wednesday, 27th of April. Straight up to my friend Pat Bullock. I'm fine. I'm on the mend, brother. He was asking, you all right, brah? I can just hear you, Pat. This cold is almost gone, my friend. Okay? So, thank you for caring. Thank you all for caring. You know, if I have been just just hearing from my good friend Liz down in Kansas City, it really feeds into what I was about to say, is that, you know, I am a man of peace. If you've heard edginess in my delivery, it's a reflection of how the atmosphere is that we're dealing with. I did find myself yesterday, after listening to some music and then taking a break and having some quiet time, it really hit me that, yeah, you know, I need to meditate even more these days, you know, and just chill that shit out. Because it's like this in the air almost all the time, the energy and the static, as opposed to days, and they seem to be rare now, when I step out into the world and I can feel a flow. It's there. It isn't gone. But there's a lot of static charge, and that's the words I use regarding what feels like noise and chaos all around me. And I respond to it. So, again, returning to some mindfulness to just calm that shit down and be all right in these times that are not all right. How's that? So, on my last video, sure enough, I misspoke, and I kind of knew it afterwards. When I mentioned Uzmedoma, I looked at the record, and the record was made in Poland. Dang it, I knew they were from Czech Republic, but, you know, I forget that stuff. You know, there's so much, you know. When I saw them and I met them afterwards, I bought the limited edition pop-up book. They only had 2 copies of it left. I like this, I'm going to tell you, because it's something that people of color deal with. When I went to buy it, the merch guy went to sell me the incomplete. They only had 2, and he tried to sell me the incomplete version for the regular price. And what's his name? Miroslav Wanek, is that his name? He saw it, and he about pitched a bitch for me. He said, oh, no, you know. Came over and personally made sure I got the whole thing. I've shown it before. I've dealt with this, and some will say, well, it's not because you're black. You don't know, and I don't either, but I've dealt with it so much that I do know. So I thank Miroslav for treating me decently. It's happened a lot, actually. So see, giving you this information, it stirs up these things, and so it's like, all is well, all is well. I'm just reporting reality. So, today is lawn day, okay? Today is lawn day. It's nice enough. Probably what I will do right after this video, and my morning mandarin orange and banana. So, yeah, I did play some records yesterday. I did. What did I play? I get in a jag for this band. Porcupine Tree. I was talking about Richard Barbieri and listening to him the other day, and one thing led to another. He said he spoke very proudly of the performance of the band on Anesthetized in the Live in Tilburg DVD, which I have. So I endeavored to watch that again. Hadn't watched it in a while, in particular that song, and to watch and listen to what Richard was talking about. And he's right, that one song off of this album, Fear of a Blank Planet, Anesthetize, really does encapsulate well the whole of what Porcupine Tree is all about. This is the deluxe numbered edition with blue marbled vinyl. And Anesthetize is a boss track with Alex Lifeson's guest guitar solo on it. I love that eerie cover. That's where we're at. Blank Weird Planet. Pulled this and just went ahead and played it. This is not my favorite by him, but I do have some old, like I said, I have nothing to prove to anyone. I have what I have in my collection, and I have old hip-hop. You know, not much, but I have what I like. Who Is It by Mantronix. Yeah, their tracks, the way the tracks were constructed by Mantronix was what drew my attention to them. They had a big hit. Well, to me it was a big hit. You know, I can't think of the name of it, but I've got it. But this was fun, and I listened to one side because, again, they do all the remixes, and it's just, you know, a little bit too much of the same thing. But for my taste, this holds up. It's really worth keeping. I had recently bought this William Basinski, Richard Chartier, Divertissement. This is excellent. I love. This is just wonderful ambient decay. Boy, when someone knows how to do it and knows how to do it right, there's really nothing better, and Basinski is amazing. This is really excellent. Divertissement. It's just the sort of thing that you just it just sucks you in deeper and deeper. For some reason, I decided to play this last night. Edgar Froese, Stuntman. Went down so well, I played side one twice. I was like, ooh, hell yes, this is sweet. Arpeggios and burbling, beautiful synthesizers. Really good album. Stuntman. Don't know why I decided to play it, but I'm really glad I did. Here's one that is not much to listen to, but it's like an archive. I'm not sorry I bought it, but it's not much to listen to. And when I show it, you guys that know about music will know what I'm talking about. The French band Mahogany Brain with Junk-Saucepan, When Spoon Trigger. This goes back to the early 70s. And this is mostly improvisation. And the story behind this I didn't familiarize myself with. But this is elemental. Excuse me, for the most part, this album could have been made by anyone. There's people playing recorders and banging on stuff, and there's like just a microphone that sounds like it's just on in a room. And so it's really non-musical, and there's some nonsensical parts with words that I'm not sure what they're going on about. But it just sounds like they're having a lark for the most part. When I bought this, I had known about the reputation of this album, Mahogany Brain. You know, that it was like really jarring and kind of confrontational to the audiences or at the time. So I was interested in that. And glad to have it, but this is not much of a listen. It says in the hype on the back, it shares the same raw aesthetics as the Velvet Underground and offers 12 savage and unhinged songs of distorted guitars with crude lyrics. That's being kind, you know, because I have a lot of, not a lot, but yes, over the years in the past, I've done a lot of jams and improv sessions and drug-taking sessions with friends, and we record them. I still have a lot of those tapes. And yes, quite a few of those recordings that I've made are much more interesting than this, but this is something to keep. Really got into this yesterday. Again, as a side, off of Richard Barbieri, going into Porcupine Tree. Before that, I grabbed this Mick Karn solo album that I have and am getting familiar with. More, Better, Different. Mick Karn's ethnicity has a lot to do with the uniqueness of his writing. I forget where he's originally from, but it's in the melodies, the snaky quality of the melodies and the lines that don't go where you think they're supposed to go. And the rhythms too. This is very, very good. More, Better, Different. Quite the bass player. Quite the bass player. Very unique. No, I don't try to play like Mick Karn. He played fretless. Could I play like that? Well, of course I could if I practiced. I don't want to play like him. This popped out, and this is just, if there's one song in here, I like the album, but the song New Star off of this album, Maps. The name of the band is Maps. Colors reflect time loss. The track on here, New Star, is the outstanding track to me. It's a repeater. It's kind of big. And it sounds like, I think he has an orchestra on it. It sounds like it. And it's fitting. It's big. It's a beautiful song. Maps. That's what I played yesterday. I'll do a poll for you, but I wanted to shine a light on myself for just a second here. I haven't pulled this out in a long time. Actually, for a minute, couldn't even find it. My discography, actually, the stuff I played on is rather varied. And, you know, sometimes you forget the things you do. So for you followers of, or you folks that watch me and are collecting my music, do any of you have this? Telephono. This was put out by Coco Arts. Coco Art, a collective of people that I am still a part of, although it's not active right now. But this is basically me and my friends who were involved in me getting on Adult Swim. And I've been in bands with them. David Matysiak in particular. This is a project that he put together through a art residency that he did here in Omaha. And the writ of the residency was, or the idea of the residency was to put together a series of recordings based on the old telephone game, sort of, which is David would start a piece, send it to someone for them to add to, and then another person would send it and add to that, and then the results would come back to David, and that's what he would release. And this has a rather interesting cast of people. I don't remember who all the background on a lot of the people on here, but everyone on here is of interest. So David, it's very cool. It's a series of 7 singles with everything also on this CD. And so, for example, here is it's a limited edition of 250 copies. I think you could still find this. This is number 29, is it? Yeah. But some of the people involved with David, so David would start it and he'd send it off, and this is one where he sent it to Eli Marduk. This one involves Nick White, Z. Christensen, J&J Hines. I know Nick White was in Tilly on the Wall. Here he is with my friends Nick Fackler and Jonas Bier of Mew. And then Darren Tutunjian. Who is he with? He was with someone of note. This one is with Jordan Knoll, filmmaker. Another good friend of David's. And which one am I involved in? So I did one of these. The one with, this one. So on the one side here, we have Jonas Bier with Nick and David and Dee Warfield. On the B side, it's David and I doing this track. The eyes of truth will never betray the souls of the loyal. That was our Telephono. And so then we have members of the Faint on this one as well. I remember all these people. Jason Lowenstein of Sebadoh is on this one. Tim Casher's on the other side from Cursive. Yeah, Alessi. I always thought that she was going to break through. Singer-songwriter who I really liked and tried when she was around. Came to Omaha for a while. Tried to arrange to work with her, but I was, working on a movie. So we didn't have time. Excuse me. But for those of you that collect me, here's an item. Telephono. Look it up. See if you can find a copy. Maybe if you want one. The other thing I thought I would crow about, and it's a crow, because I think it's a cool thing to share. If I can find the record. That's what's so funny about having so much stuff. It's like you can't find shit. Okay, so I'll do a poll after I talk about this. So my trajectory as an artist, and I will use that term lovingly, I like to call myself an artist, started quite literally in the 70s. My senior year of high school, I finally got access to an instrument. You know, I borrowed a bass. I didn't have one of my own still for years, actually. But I started playing in bands then. And when punk hit, the DIY, do-it-yourself ethic really resonated with me. And that's what led me to starting my own band, Digital Sex. Of course, I started some other bands beside that. But that was the first one of note. But before that, I put out my first records, my first EPs with the DIY ethic. This is before the band Digital Sex. I think this is important to clear the air here for some folks. And my first EP is this one, Dereck, just called Dereck. That's my older brother James's original artwork that he came up for me for this. I think there's 150 copies that I had pressed to this. United Pressing, which is now Third Man Pressing. I think I got that right. But this is cool. I like to share that when I made this, I sold a few, but I gave a bunch away to people when I would meet them. So people I gave it to and who most likely still have copies are Pete Buck of REM. He has a copy. When I saw him several times over the years after opening for REM. He said, "Yeah, I got your record, man." It was great. Joe Biafra of Dead Kennedys got a hold of me after I played with him, opened for Dead Kennedys with RAF, and we bonded and we started to correspond. And I was supposed to get him a copy of the record. I never did. And son of a gun, he wrote me maybe 3 years later, "Hey, what about that record?" Because, he's a nerdy record collector, if you didn't. So, I sent him a copy. He's got one. Philip Glass has an autographed copy of this. Laurie Anderson has a copy, although hers is probably gone because her place was destroyed in a fire and all of her archives were destroyed, so this is probably among that. Todd Rundgren has a copy of this, and he told me, he said, when people give me records, I keep them. Todd Rundgren has a copy. Chris Carter and Cozy Fanny Tootie of Chris and Carter and Throbbing Gristle both have copies, and I have a picture of me with them after I gave it to them and was talking to them, and Cozy was flirting with me, and so I was flirting with her. Awesome, they have copies. There's more folks, but I think that's kind of fun to share. People that notable, who I know have my record. There's more. Those I can easily remember. There's more folks that I made sure to give the record to. See if you can find a copy of this, or do you have one? One more. This one. A collaboration I did with a noise artist, outsider artist, Dino Felipe. Dereck Higgins and Dino Felipe. On the Public Eyesore label. Properties and Ribbons. And this came out on pink. Some of them are more pink than others. This is a darker one. It's almost red. Vinyl. See if you can find this. It took me a while to find these. I couldn't even remember what the dang box of records was, okay? I could go on, but I just wanted to share those because I have more singles that I'm on. Love making records and making music. Okay, let's do a pull. Let's just do a pull right here because I know this is pretty much going to be some Hendrix right here. And it is. Hendrix Winterland. Okay, I bought this one. This has been reissued many times, but I got this. It's on orange vinyl. But just to make a point here, not to make a point, but just to show you, I got my Hendrix Bandit Gypsies, Axis Bold is Love. Yeah, we have to have these records. Yeah, you have to have these. Yeah, Hendrix was a big influence on me. Big, huge. Hendrix, huge, still. Role model, I don't know if you want to call him that, but icon, something. It's like, I still remember the first time I saw the Are You Experienced album in the record store as a kid. I was 13 or 14, and it was like, we can do that? That's what I thought. We can do that? Down here. So I'm trying to get to certain parts of my collection that I haven't been hitting. My Sakamoto. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. With Bowie. Didn't care for the movie, Saw it a few times to finally get what it was really trying to talk about. And I like the soundtrack. I don't like war, so even though it's telling a story and there's this subtext of homosexuality and desire, it's like I don't give two shits about that. Great soundtrack. Sakamoto is one of my favorites of all time. Of all time. Let's just keep going, folks, because, you know, sometimes it's better than others. Is this more stuff that you've seen already? Oh, okay. Well, I'll show this, because this is a badass album, and I'd like to have more of his stuff. Masabumi Kikuchi, jazz pianist of the highest order. And his records are hard to you have to pay a lot for his records to get them, and this is the only one I have. Susto, which was released in America. This is him totally doing the Miles ostinato thing to great effect, and I understand that Miles heard it and gave it a big thumbs up. This is excellent. Jazz, rock, fusion, whatever you want to call it, it's in the Miles mode. Susto. Killer album. And next to it, stuck to it, was this band, I believe. No, I have to look it up. Looks like they're probably Dutch or something. Kiem. And this is cool. This is cool. If I remember, the way they made the music was a bit unusual at the time. Possibly like Einstürzende Neubauten, where they're using large pieces of equipment for the percussion section. But this is good. And there's sax, synths, metal drums. Yeah, metal drums, synths, vocals, tenor sax. This is good. And it's singular. Kiem. Good stuff. Yeah. To the person who shared that, you know, he does the same thing, but was not thinking that maybe his collection, that he had a bunch of weird records that he doesn't necessarily know that they are good. You know, it's your collection. Our collections are a reflection of us. And we can have whatever we want in our collections. That's what's fun about it, isn't it? Man, the time goes fast. But I'm going to go a little bit longer, okay? I'm looking at these records because it's like, man, besides doing blind pulls, there's records I just wanted to talk about sometimes. But I'm just going to do another pull. Back over here. Back over here. What do we got? Oh, look at this. I wonder if Jeffrey Scott Gurr is still around on the VC. This is a person that I met through the vinyl community who makes records. Jeffrey Scott Greer, and I believe two other VC members helped him to finance this and put this together. He's put out several records now. Acid Rain. This is, for lack of a better word, on the psychedelic side. Look at those great graphics. And I haven't played this in a long time. Pretty sure this is all instrumental. But here, this, like my Dereck 3 album, which members of the vinyl community helped me to finance to get out. This is another one where that happened. Schematics for a Blank Stare, I believe is the name of the project. Schematics for a Blank Stare. Good pull. Good pull. Good memories, too, you know, of that whole time when the VC was just starting and things like that were happening. Very cool. I'm just pulling. What do we got? Massive Stereo Sellout. This is either Australia or New Zealand. It's on the Flying Nun label. And this is an interesting album because it sounds like early sampling, but not in a typical way. This rumbles and kind of grinds. It's not a typical sound. 1988 is when this came out. Massive Stereo Sellout. This is definitely a keeper. It's unusual. Very unusual. Okay, so it's a half an hour. I need to stop. Folks, as always, I hope the day is good to you. The night, whenever you see this, drop me a line and let me know how you're feeling.